Imagine you trip. Before you're even aware of the ground rushing up, your arms have already shot out to break your fall. Or think about touching a hot stove. Your hand retracts in a blur long before the sensation of pain registers in your conscious mind. This isn't just you being quick. It's a profound demonstration that a part of your nervous system is making executive decisions without your brain's permission. Conscious perception, the feeling of you deciding to act, is slow. It takes hundreds of milliseconds for sensory information to travel to your brain, be processed, and for a command to be sent back down. In a world of sudden dangers, that is an eternity. Your survival depends on neural shortcuts that are elegant, ancient, and operate completely outside your awareness. The simplest of these shortcuts is the spinal reflex arc. When a doctor taps your knee, the hammer stretches the quadriceps muscle. A sensory neuron embedded in that muscle fires a signal directly into your spinal cord. Inside the spinal cord's gray matter, this neuron doesn't ascend to the brain. Instead, it forms a direct single synapse, a monosynaptic connection with a motor neuron. This motor neuron then immediately fires back out, instructing the quadriceps to contract, causing your leg to kick. The entire circuit, from tap to kick, is completed within the spine. Your brain is merely a spectator. It receives a carbon copy of the signal after the action is already underway, informing it of what just happened without its involvement. But this spinal intelligence goes far beyond a simple kick. Consider stepping on something sharp. The withdrawal reflex that saves your foot from injury is a much more complex polysynaptic event. Here, the incoming pain signal connects to an interneuron within the spinal cord. This interneuron acts as a local processor, simultaneously sending a signal to the motor neuron of your hamstring to contract, lifting your leg, and another signal to inhibit the motor neuron of your quadriceps so it relaxes. It even sends signals across the spinal cord to the opposite leg, telling it to extend and stabilize your body. This is decentralized computing. Your spinal cord is performing a complex, coordinated action involving multiple muscles and limbs, all to keep you safe, all before your brain even knows there's a problem. Moving up from the spine, we find even faster, more complex reflexes managed by the brainstem. Have you ever jumped at a sudden loud noise? That's the acoustic startle reflex. The sound signal travels from your ear to the cochlear nucleus, but instead of taking the scenic route to the auditory cortex for interpretation, it takes an express lane. It connects directly to giant neurons in a part of the pons called the nucleus reticularis pontis caudalis. These massive neurons project down the spinal cord and trigger a massive, full-body muscle contraction, the flinch, in little as 10 milliseconds. You flinch before you've even perceived the sound. It is a primal, hardwired system for immediate defense against an unseen threat. These reflex arcs are not immutable laws. They are sophisticated systems that can be modulated. The brain, while not a part of the initial reflex, acts as a governor. Think about carrying a dangerously hot dish to the table. Your withdrawal reflex is screaming at you to drop it, yet you hold on. This is your frontal cortex sending powerful descending inhibitory signals down to the spinal cord. These signals essentially tell the interneurons of the reflex arc to stand down. This creates a fascinating neurological conflict, a battle between the ancient protective reflex in your spine and the goal-oriented commands from your conscious brain. The winner of that battle determines whether dinner lands on the floor. Then there are the long-loop reflexes, a strange middle ground between pure reflex and voluntary action. Imagine holding a cup of coffee when someone bumps into you. You adjust your grip and stabilize the cup almost instantly, without conscious thought. This wasn't a spinal reflex. The signal from the stretch receptors in your hand and arm traveled up the spinal cord, all the way to the sensory motor cortex in your brain, and then a corrective command was sent back down. Crucially, this entire loop happens faster than conscious reaction time and operates without your awareness. It's your brain running a background stabilization program, making constant, high-speed adjustments to your movements based on sensory feedback, freeing up your conscious mind to focus on other things. Perhaps the most dramatic shortcut bypasses conscious sight itself. Your brain has two visual pathways for processing threats. The high road is slow and detailed. Information goes from your eyes to the thalamus, then to the visual cortex for careful analysis. But there is also a low road. A crude, low-resolution copy of the visual information splits off at the thalamus and travels directly to the amygdala, your brain's fear center. This is why you might jump back from a coiled garden hose on the path before you've consciously identified it as a hose and not a snake. Your amygdala saw a snake-like shape and triggered a body-wide alarm response before your visual cortex could get the high-definition picture and say, "Relax, it's just rubber." It's an evolutionary system that prefers a false positive to a fatal mistake. So, when you move through the world, you are not a single, unified commander. Your body is a distributed network of intelligent agents. Your spinal cord makes decisions about posture and immediate harm. Your brainstem manages startle responses. Your cortex runs unconscious correctional loops for fine motor control. And your amygdala reacts to threats you haven't even seen yet. The conscious self, the part of you that is listening to this right now, is often just the final observer. It's the part that pieces together the story of why your hand is tingling, why your heart is racing, or why you're suddenly standing on one foot long after the rest of your nervous system has already taken action to keep you alive. Monotony has grown fast. Nearly 2,700 people have watched in the last few weeks, yet less than 0.03% are subscribed. It would mean a lot if you joined by hitting subscribe. And again, thanks for watching.